Hello, I'm live. Yay. Welcome. Today I'm making caramel brownies. Were you here for the last brownie recipe? We're going to be making them right here and right now. And let's get into it. I have everything set aside except for the parchment paper. So let me just get some parchment paper. Okay. That was the final thing. Now I'm ready. Alright, so first I'm going to make the caramel in this small saucepan. And I'm going to use this agave, half a cup. We're going to get it going first. Welcome if you're tuning in. Thank you for watching. Did you happen to try the last brownies recipe I posted? Hopefully this one will be even better than that, but it will be hard to beat. However, if anything beats it, it's going to be caramel. Alright, so this is going to be very simple. Oh man, sorry for the noise. That was a bad idea to put in there. I put those in there for the thumbnail, but they didn't really need to be in there. Alright. Start this up. Put it on low. We're going to start boiling this. I'm also going to add some more things into that. But first we're going to let it heat up and let it get going. First I'm going to add some salt, which I have right here. All right. I'm gonna move this over. I'll bring you back to this point in a little bit. That'll be fine. You don't have to worry about making caramel with agave because it's not sugar. So it's not going to crystallize like that. Could have probably added the salt at the end as well, but that's fine. Alright, this is already starting to heat up. And it will start boiling ferociously pretty quickly. Yeah, it's already starting to boil there on the edges. So the trick with this is just to cook it until it starts to turn a little bit darker. This is the light agave, and if you've ever used the dark amber agave, you could use that as well, but I think this one is easier to start to see when it starts to burn. So the caramel should be slightly burnt, just very slightly. You don't want to overdo it So as soon as it starts to smell a little bit burnt, that's when you stop it. We've got a little while to go though. It didn't even start boiling yet. And I've got everything over here off screen set up so that I can quickly, but while that's heating up, let me get this parchment paper set up. This is very easy. Just poke the corners. Now I can see where the corners are and I can just cut it. If I had a scissors, okay. So you just cut one line into the corner. I'll need to trim some of that off. Okay, as you can see, this is starting to boil. Not quite there yet. Smells really good. Caramel. If you're wondering what I'm going to do next, I'm going to put some of this coconut milk in. You could also use almond milk, or, well, you could make your own walnut milk or Brazil nut milk. And all you do is just blend it in a blender with spring water and maybe a pinch of salt, maybe a dash of agave or a date, and then you strain it, and there you have your nut milk. This isn't quite there yet. Well, this is the part of the video that I would have on time lapse if I edited it. But live, this is what we've got. We've got the caramel cooking down. As soon as it starts to get a smoky flavor in the air, I'm going to turn it off. I'm waiting till that exact moment, so I don't want to start doing something over here until this is done, because it's going to be quick. It's very easy. It's not difficult, but you got to be right there. You got to be right there to know when to turn it off. Smells amazing. So we're waiting for this. If you're just tuning in, this was a half cup of agave and maybe about a half teaspoon of sea salt. So we're waiting for this to get slightly smoked. Then I'm going to turn it into caramel. Then we're going to quickly make these brownies, and that won't take long. And then we're going to pop them in the oven, which will take long, but that will be the fun part. Then when they pop out, cool them down and time to enjoy, of course. But the hard part is going to be making the brownie. And this part is easy. I just have to watch it for when it's ready to turn it off. Hello, Forever Grateful. Looking forward to some delicious brownies. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I appreciate the company while I bake these. Of course, it'd be better if someone was here in real life. We could do some live cooking shows. And you know, when you're making this with cane sugar, you're not supposed to stir it or mess with it or anything. But honestly, I think it's easier to make it with agave. So it's great. Don't have to worry about the sugar crystallizing and all that nonsense. I'm going to add that coconut milk, but not quite yet. And I'm thinking about adding some oil because I know that sometimes for the creamier caramel you can add butter. So I might add a little bit of oil just to see if it works, because I want this caramel to be creamy. I don't want it to be solid. Like I made some caramel, cream caramel, what do they call it? Pudding, flan, and I made like a hard caramel for the tops of those, but I dried some in the bottom of one of the containers and it formed like a little candy, and it was amazingly delicious. But it was not gooey and creamy. It was more of like a hard candy. So this one I want to be more creamy and gooey. And it's smelling really good, like fresh candy is making. Someone called me a sugarholic on the last live stream. I guess I don't blame them after all the videos I've been posting. I'm just an American. What can I say? Trying to post videos for my own countrymen who are addicted to sweets. I think most of the world's addicted to sweets. I lived in Asia, and everything is so sugary there. You'd be surprised. Even like the pizza is sugary. In Korea, the one thing I used to complain about was the garlic bread. The garlic bread was sweet with white sugar, and I thought that was not a good choice, but... All right, this is almost there. It's starting to make a scent. Yeah, and do you see the bubbles are starting to kind of change the shape? Starting to thicken up a little bit. The Simple Thing says, I appreciate your sweets. Awesome, thank you. If you appreciate it, give it a thumbs up. Let YouTube algorithm know this is a good video and they should show everyone. That's what the trick is. Oh, thank you, awesome. You rock. I appreciate all the support. It makes it that much more fun while I bake. All right, yeah, this is starting to smell. So I just turned it off, and I'm going to add a half cup of this coconut milk. It's very creamy though. I didn't shake it. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so I didn't shake it, so the creamiest part is going to be on the top, just so you know. But all right, this might erupt, but I'm prepared for an explosion. Yeah. And this is hard to do while filming. Where is my... Okay, there we go. I usually am very, very neat and organized while I'm cooking. Only while I'm cooking, no. But while I'm filming, I just have to throw stuff and grab the next thing. Okay, so I'm looking for the teaspoon. So I can do the vanilla. All right. Now I'm gonna try to bring this to... Oh yeah, there we go. See, I would have started stirring it if I... Wow. That looks brilliant. Oh man. Mmm. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on low. And I'm going to bring it back to a boil. Yes. This is going to be so good. Okay, so we're just going to heat this back up. And then we're going to let it thicken while we do everything else. That's the last I'm going to stir it. I just licked it off of this, and it was the best thing I've ever had. Wow, I can't wait. Oh, this is going to be so good. All right, now it's coming back to a boil. Going to turn it off. And let it solidify. All right. Just gonna turn that off from there. Now this should get nice and thick, but I might need to pour it into something else to help it cool down while we wait. So here's a metal bowl. I'm going to pour that into here so that it can start cooling off while we make the brownies. Oh, I'm excited. I'm not sure if that's going to be thick enough. We will see. how thick that gets. Alright, so I'm going to set this to the side, and we will continue the brownies. So I'm going to move this over here, and we're going to make these right here. Alrighty, so first, I'm getting the rest of the caramel out of that saucepan. Can't let anything go to waste. Look at how much is still in there. That's almost enough to make a candy out of. Actually, I'm tempted to just eat this. Mmm. Alright. I'm going to soak this in water so that it doesn't harden and become a giant mess. And I just licked that, and it was the best thing I've ever had, so I think I could just eat that tub of caramel and be satisfied. So, okay, good news, the caramel tastes amazing. Now let's make the brownies, or the brownies part of it. So we're gonna start with, with 1 cup of oil. Let me move this. Alright, so I'm going to use grapeseed oil. Well, I'm going to use avocado oil, but if I run out, I'm going to use the rest as grapeseed oil. You could use one or the other. I just have much more grapeseed oil than I have avocado oil at the moment. Alright, there we go. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to add some chickpea flour. This is what I use instead of eggs. You can use it for other things as well. Is it possible to use avocado instead of avocado oil? You mean, well, yeah, I thought about that. You could use avocado oil like instead of coconut cream. You would probably want 1 whole avocado, or at least a cup, but you would need to water it down. So there's 1 tablespoon. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons. All right. Also, we're going to put, let's see, where's the... there's one thing that I'm missing that I didn't get out in advance. That's a problem. Well, that is a problem, indeed. Alright, well, I have to edit that part out while I was looking for that. Alright, let's see. Quarter of a cup of the coconut cream, coconut milk or water is fine. A 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Vanilla bean would be better, obviously, or vanilla bean paste, if you have it. Alright, now we need the sugar, date syrup, and date sugar. We're using both. So we're going to use, clean this out. I'm going to use a half of a cup. I don't know how I'm going to get it out of here. This is a quarter of a cup. Alright, I'm just using half of a cup of dates sugar this time, and I'm going to use 3/4 of a cup of date syrup. All right. Oops, bumped it again. All right, wow. That looks amazing. Smells good. Now it's time to sift in the batter. Let's see. Yes. So I've got, oops. I'm going to take this thing off. Thank you for the thumbs up. See some people thumbs it up. I appreciate that. Where are you tuning in from? I'm curious. Are you also baking alongside right now, or are you just watching this and then gonna do it later? If you're in the same time zone as me, this is pretty too late to I need to be getting these in the oven, and I better preheat it because I didn't even preheat it yet. But my oven preheats very quickly, so let's start it right now. All right. So I'm just going to get the dry ingredients in here. Where is the third of a cup? Is it missing? All right. So I'm going to do 2/3 of a cup spelt flour. And then I'm going to do 1/4 of a cup of that special mix of do 1/4 of a cup. This is the mushroom mix I used in the last brownies. If you didn't see that one, just going to use 1/4 of a cup. Now this is a supplement that I take, but it is just medicinal mushroom powder, a few different types, and you don't have to have the exact same ratio, but there's chaga and reishi in there, which gives it that dark color, and it's bitter, but they're very powerful. There's also cordyceps and a couple other ones, but those will give you tons of energy. I mean, those are known to be potent. So, and then I have one more thing, and I use the coffee grinder for this. And that was sarsaparilla powder, sarsaparilla root powder. It has a really good flavor. This specific one smells and tastes great. But I'm gonna sift it in because it wouldn't totally powder. And that was 1 tablespoon of the chunks, and then I powdered it. I didn't measure it after, but So it was probably less than a tablespoon of the powder. This is what the sarsaparilla looks like before I powdered it. It's just chunks of root. But not all of it looks like this, and not all of it is the same flavor. But this one tastes really good. So I added about a tablespoon of it in there just to give it a little bit of a sweet, earthy flavor. Okay, this should be everything except we need some salt. About a half teaspoon. All right, we should be good to go. Let's mix this up. Now this time I'm going to mix it by hand because I don't want to over mix it. Move this over here a little bit. All right, my oven is preheated. Perfect. All right, let's get this in there. Let's get this in there right away. No cocoa powder, no problem. Oh yes. How's it looking from your seat? Looking good? Just want to get those remaining dry chunks. Now I'm not adding walnuts to this one. I added them to the last recipe. So if you like walnuts in your brownies, check my other brownie recipe. I made salty roasted walnuts to go in it. All right, this is looking good. Oops. All right, now I'm just going to pour this in here. I mangled it. That's fine. Okay. Just gonna pour this in here, and then I'm gonna add the caramel layer on top. Oh, I'm starting to get excited. We're at the home stretch. Almost. Almost the home stretch. The home stretch is when it's cooling. Oh. All right, yes, well, I'll edit this part out later. All right. All right, well, these are almost there. But I'm going to add the caramel to the top. The caramel looks a little bit too thin or not cooled down enough. Hold on a second, let me... So this is the caramel. It is pretty thin compared to what I'm not sure if this is too thin. I think I'm just going to go for it anyway. I was expecting it to be thicker than this. We'll find out. Or was I just blocking the entire screen? Sorry, it's difficult to... This camera's in my way. All right. All right, well, here's the caramel on top. Now I wanted to make a design in the middle, but I don't know if it's really going to work. So we'll try it anyway. All right, well, oh no, I dropped some of this skewer in there. Well, there, hopefully this caramel layer gets hardened on top, or else I'm never gonna know if it's done. So I would, if I wasn't live, I think I would have boiled down the caramel a little more so that it would be more gooey. But we're going to do it like this and see if that hardens up. I'm going to put it in the oven. Let's see here. Let me fix this. Well, that didn't work out well. Bye. All right, there I go again without checking my hair. Just throwing myself right into the fire. Well, forgive my frazzle. This is what happens when you're cooking and not looking at yourself. So I'm going to set the timer and let's see. Set the timer for 45 minutes. Okay. Oh. So I set the timer for 45 minutes. I think it's gonna take longer than that, especially with that gooey, drippy caramel on top. So I can do some Q&A with crazy hair, or I can I can come back later and show you the results either later or in another video where I can see, a lot of people would have their makeup done and everything, and all I have is this crazy mop. But I was focused on brownies, 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 and not my appearance, which keeps happening. I need to have a checklist before I go live. Brush my hair, check. Check my appearance. Wear clothing. Oh, I figured that part out. So, oh, it's not too bad. I've seen worse. All right, so those are in. Those are in. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I can take a couple questions if you want, or I can see you later and update you on the process of the brownies. Pretty much what I'm gonna do, I set the timer for 40 minutes. I'm gonna take them out at 40, I'm gonna slam them on the counter with a towel so that I don't break the dish. I'm just gonna slam them on the counter with a towel so they don't rise too far up. I don't want them to get too fluffy. I want them to be nice and gooey and fudgy. And I don't want them to rise up and to be some big fluffy cake, honestly. Not this time anyway. We have cake in other videos. I'm not making cake though, I'm making brownies. So that's what I'm planning. I could do frosting on the top. What do you think? I have another third brownie recipe in mind. This is the second one I've done, and I have a third one in mind with another layer of, I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but I was studying earlier how to make marshmallow and I think it might be possible to make an alkaline marshmallow. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't know if it's gonna work yet, so we'll find out later. And then if I can make marshmallow, that means that I can make nougat. And then if I can make nougat, then I can make some epic brownies. Basically like a Snickers brownie with a layer. So I've been researching this, and of course my version will be healthy, and the other versions online are nowhere close to it. For example, the other regular caramel, that's toxic. Regular marshmallows, ugh, they get that stuff away from me. But if I can make a healthy version of it, awesome. Might as well. And that sounds like a fascinating challenge for me. I've already made Snickers ice cream bars. If you haven't tried those, wow, that's one of the best recipes on the channel, I think. Now, that's not for every meal because it is frozen, and cold food isn't ideally good for you because your stomach has to heat it up. But, you know, since we don't eat dairy or anything else, sometimes it's nice to have a treat. Just not while you're detoxing, that's another thing. For day to day though, it's fine. And actually, I want some. So that is a really good recipe. I've already posted that, but yeah, I'm planning to do a brownie, like a Snickers brownie that has like a layer of like a nougat nut layer, and then oh man, there's like 4 layers to these brownies that I'm thinking about. The ones that I'm making right now are just caramel and brownie, so we'll see how they work, and then if these ones go well, I will do the Snickers brownie, yeah, Snickers brownies. Oh, and if I figure that out, then I will be a very happy person, and I will never, I'll just be eating that only. I'm gonna just put some sea moss in it, and that'll be my supplement. Why do you use date sugar and date syrup? Hello, by the way, is that Carrie? Nice to see you tuning in. Date sugar and date syrup are almost the only sweeteners that I'll use other than agave. And agave, I used it for the caramel, but the date syrup has quite an interesting flavor. It's like, it's so good. It's so good. It's almost like a coffee flavor. It's interesting. So I was thinking about only using date syrup with no date sugar to get really, you know, that really deep flavor. But I think the date sugar also has a little bit of that flavor as well. It's unique. I think it tastes kind of mocha a little bit. It's not just the straight up sweetness like agave. Agave tastes kind of just like white sugar, just sweet, without really any richness. Although the amber agave is a little bit more flavorful, but they're almost the same. You could even use just dates. I didn't experiment with it to figure out the ratio or anything, but if you used fresh dates, it would give it a heavy, it might be a little too heavy actually, if you just maybe pulverized or blended it up dates in a food processor with the wet ingredients. You could try that. You could start with the oil and some dates, probably a cup of dates and a cup of oil, and blend that in the food processor. That might be a good idea if you don't have that date syrup, because it is a little expensive, although I bought it bulk. I've got a link in the comments for the bulk foods if you're in the US. And I got a gallon of date syrup because it's hard to find. It's hard to find, and sometimes when you find it in the store, it's a ripoff, but if you get it bulk, it's not that bad. So I was really happy with that date syrup jug I got. I got a gallon of agave too, and we already used it all. When it's the holidays, you gotta bake sweets. All right, we are approaching 1 hour live, 4 more minutes. So I might take a couple more questions and then call it on the live, and then I think I can resume the live later when I'm pulling out the brownies, and then I will test them on camera, or I'll film it and edit it later. So stay tuned. In about 40 minutes, I don't know what time I put those in, I'm going to be pulling those out, and I don't know if I'll go live just to whack it on the counter and put them back in the oven. That's probably not worth it, but I will do a live at the end and maybe do a taste test if it's not too late. I might be sacrificing my night though, because last time, since I put so many healthy mushrooms in there, it really packs a powerful, energizing punch. And in fact, one tiny brownie, which they were only, I cut them into maybe like 2-inch squares, which is pretty small. Usually, you know, back in the day, I would have a giant, you know, slab, an American size brownie is pretty big. The bigger the better, I guess, is kind of how we are conditioned growing up. But these ones are so powerful that they're a small cube of one gave me like a 3-hour energy rocket. So, and these ones, I put the sarsaparilla in there. They're going to be very, very, very healthy. Also, it would be considered an aphrodisiac, if you know what that means. That's one use of the sarsaparilla root, and people around the world have been using it for that purpose. And the iron is why. The iron in it is what gives you energy, and also that other healthy boost. So, let's see. Will you make the old-fashioned butter cookies vegan? You mean like sugar cookie, they call? It's just a basic cookie. I'm not sure if that's the same thing as what you mean. It might be. I already have made those, and there's a recipe on this channel for something very similar. If it's not exactly that, the recipe is for the Milano cookies. They're an alkaline version of the Pepperidge Farm little sandwich cookies. And the cookie itself is like, I think what you're talking about, like a basic, like a sugar cookie, or maybe a butter cookie would be even a better, maybe that's a better word for it. Check those out, and you can make that alone without making them into a sandwich. That's how it started. We had been making those for a couple years, and then somehow we got the idea of making them into the Milano cookie. I think, why did I have that idea? I think after we made the Snickers ice cream bar, then the top layer of that is like a frosting. It's similar to the frosting we used on that double layer cake recipe that we have. And so that frosting is very similar. It's not exactly the same, but it might as well be. And you can use that in between the cookies. And also we used that for something else. What was that really good as? We used it in between the cookies. Thinking about using that for the next brownies. The ones that you get in school. I don't remember getting butter cookies. I'll have to look it up. Well, I'm going to look it up right now because I've got my tablet right next to me. So let me search what butter cookies look like because I'm curious. Sounds interesting and good. Butter cookies. I'm learning something new. Oh, yeah, okay, like those Danish ones in the blue tin. That's what came up on the search. So how is that different than a sugar cookie? They're also known as Danish biscuits. They're unleavened cookies. They're just butter, flour, and sugar. They're often categorized as a crisp cookie. Yeah, I think this is almost exactly what I would make is our Milano cookie recipe. Have you tried that out yet? Just make that, but just don't make them into a sandwich. And it looks like it would be exactly like this. If all they are is like those royal Danish ones, I think that that would be the best similar result. Let me know what you think about that if you try them out. Have you tried that recipe? Oh, they also add egg, but they also add vanilla. Yeah, that would be good. If there's no vanilla in that recipe for the Pepperidge Farm Milano cookies that I have, just add a little bit of vanilla, probably a half teaspoon or a teaspoon, and those would be, boom, probably just what you're looking for. I'm gonna check how, I've been blabbering for a while. I'm gonna check and see if these are even close to being done. Oh no, they've still got 28 minutes left. All right, so I'm gonna pause the live and then I'll come back and I'll make sure definitely to get the rest of the footage because I want to taste them on camera and I want to show, I'll probably edit them down into another video as well. Thank you for excusing my hair and thank you for watching. Thank you for all the questions. If you have any more questions right before I go, I will happily answer. And as long as there aren't any, then I'll be on my way and I'll keep you tuned in. So stay tuned in. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit the bell so that you get notified when I go live. That way you can catch the beginning of the recipes. See you in the next video and have an amazing night on purpose. Right, Carrie? Thank you for watching. The old school cookies are round with the fingerprint. Oh, okay. We were in the process of making thumbprint cookies, but we were gonna put some blueberry jam in there. So yeah, try those ones out, and if they're not exactly what you're looking for, maybe we can tweak the recipe a little bit, but I bet those are I bet those would hit the spot. And maybe the shape won't be exact, but I think it'll be pretty close. Depending on if you have whole spelt flour or white spelt flour, but both would be pretty good, honestly. And I would use I would probably use agave to sweeten those ones because it's more like that's just sharp sweetness. All right, so I'll tune back in to finish the caramel brownies, and I'll be back with more recipes as well soon. Thank you so much for watching and commenting, and leave some feedback below if you're watching this in the replay. I appreciate all the new subscribers recently. It's really growing, and thanks to everyone. Thanks to your thumbs up, thanks to your comments, YouTube is starting to spread my channel, so I appreciate the help. See you soon. Peace. I'll be right back for the people that are just tuning in the replay. Let me see.